to our ASEAN Cleantech Canadian Technology Accelerator, or CTA in short, startup arena. So my name is Tom Chang, and I'm the program lead from the High Commission of Canada to Singapore. So what is a CTA? CTA is a federal program that is designed to support high growth and high potential Canadian startups and scale-ups with their market entry strategies. So our themes typically focus on clean tech and ICT and life sciences. And for this particular program, we have a cohort of 5 startups who will be talking about their decarbonizing technologies and services. So just some quick figures here. So Canada's clean tech accounts for roughly about $10 billion in terms of exports back in 2020. And we're looking to double that figure by 2025. And one major announcement that I'd like to share with you is that the government of Canada has recently unveiled the Indo-Pacific Strategy, or IPS in short. So what it entails is that there's about $2.3 billion that has been committed over the next 5 years to strengthen Canada's ties with the Asia-Pacific region. And there are multiple initiatives under this IPS umbrella. So part of which we'll be looking to support more Canadian clean tech companies and work with ASEAN businesses to transition to renewable energies. So once again, together with my colleagues and the support of our program partner from Startup Buddy, I'd like to welcome you today, and please take this opportunity to learn more about Canadian capabilities in clean tech. Next slide, please. So just a quick overview of our program structure. So we started the program back in December last year. So it's about 5 months long. And the way our cohort have experienced throughout this journey is through this gaming approach, which consists of these 4 different levels that you see here. And our markets that we cover are 5 countries. So we have Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. So following the introductions to these markets and connecting with mentors and local clean tech experts, so we're here today at level 3, and this is where you will hear from our cohort later on. And speaking of our cohort, next slide, please. So you see here we have our 5 startups. They represent across Canada 3 Canadian provinces with products and technologies in solar energy, green ammonia and green hydrogen, biomass conversion, and oil recovery and CCUS. Next slide, please. So before we get into Ali to present, so how we run a session today is somewhat different from the other pitch or demo days you may have experienced. So it'll be a mix of short presentations and Q&As between the cohort and a facilitator. So this is called the Ask Me Anything segment, or AMA. So each of these AMA session will last for about 10 minutes. And then we will have 2 networking sessions for about 10 minutes in between the AMAs. And then finally, we'll actually have a guest speaker, Edwin Chiang, who is the COO from NG Factory APAC. And then we'll close the session. So I'll stop here and hand it over to Robin from Startup Buddy. Over to you, Robin.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Tom, for that introduction. I will be your MC for today. We had a couple of slides about the different companies that we'll have today during the program, but we already shortly covered those, so I'll skip through to those. Just as a quick reminder, this is what the program looks like for today. So every company session, like Tom already said, will be around 10 minutes. Then will be 10 minutes for you to meet the different companies. Then we'll have a couple of presentations again, and then again networking with the companies. Then finally closing off with our closing speaker, Edwin Cheng from NG Factory. In between the sessions, every now and then you will see me to explain a couple of things about the program and to talk everything together. And I'm also hosting the polls that we want to do every now and then. I really like to encourage you to use the polls, because we really like to also provide this information after the session to the startups, because the companies are in this program to learn more about the ASEAN region. So it's very valuable for them also to know who's here today, who they can network in later on during the ASEAN Cleantech program, etc. So please participate in this. So the first poll for today is: how are you as an attendee involved in the clean tech industry? Maybe you're in the business, working for an energy company or something like that. Maybe you're an investor and interested from that perspective. You could be in the government. I know at least a few people are. Or I help startups in some other capacity. For example, you work for the startup body. Okay, so I'm gonna close the poll. Most people today attending are somehow in the business, 70%. So from the people who voted, I'm very happy to see that. So I think that you're gonna really enjoy this session for today. With that, we're gonna go to the first presentation for today. Rishav, can you take over the screen and start the video for Cnergreen, please? I think there's an issue with it's loading. Okay, thank you. I'm guessing for those who are wondering what I'm doing, I'm reading the messages on my screen, so I know what's going on. Video is loading. It should come up any second, hopefully. Alternatively, should I go to the video? Okay, well, we wait for the video. If you are interested to meet with any of the companies, when you entered AirMeet, you should have seen a reception area. And in that reception area, you also saw videos of the different companies. Those videos are a little bit longer. They present a little bit more about the specific services and products that all the startups are providing. On the right-hand side of the reception area, you also see an option to actually indicate that you like to meet with one of the startups. So if you want to meet with any of the companies after today, just indicate it over there. I think I saw something moving, so I suppose that should mean that the video is working. Rishav? Okay. Okay, we're gonna skip the video, guys. I think it's best to go immediately to the AMA because it doesn't seem to work. Or maybe stop the video. I'll try from a screen. If that doesn't work, then we go immediately to Ali. My apologies, everyone, for that. It happens. Okay, I will try one time from my screen. If We can also go immediately to Jack. Okay, we'll try for 1 second from my video, if that works. I actually don't think so. No, that's not an option. Jack was really keen on getting started anyway. So I hope you're ready, Jack, because I'm going to put you on the screen now, including the host for your session. Okay, Jack is good to go. So we're shifting the program a little bit around. Hi, Jack. Give me a few seconds. I will invite Ritishka on stage as well. I hope you're ready too, Ritishka. Okay, great. Then we first go to Jack and Ritishka from Golu.
Okay, so I can go first. Hi, everyone. I'm Jag. I'm the Director of Business Development for SBI Group of Companies, and Golu H2 is our ethanol to hydrogen, carbon negative, modular, renewable hydrogen generation unit system. It's great to be here.
Thanks, Jake. Hi, everyone. I'm Ritishka. I cover the clean technology file for Asia Pacific, working with Tom at the High Commission of Canada in Singapore. But I'll let you go ahead with your presentation, Jack.
You. Okay. So if we can all see my screen. As said before, I'm Jag Singh, Director of Business Development, and I'm presenting our carbon negative renewable hydrogen generation from ethanol, which is called Golu H2. And we're a member of the SBI Group of Companies. We've had 25 years in business in advanced, innovative, clean tech, and our proof in our evidence in being leaders in catalytic development and process development was when we successfully licensed our renewable diesel, sustainable aviation fuel or jet fuel technology to Shell. And now we're tackling the hydrogen adoption problem. So what we see as issues to hydrogen adoption are associated with costs, whether it's carbon footprint, on-site infrastructure, safe handling, storage, or safe transport. All seem to be issues which we are now tackling with our process. So the Golu H2 technology is ethanol and water. It's a simplified one-step process to take only ethanol and water through a reactor to generate fuel cell grade hydrogen. And once the process is running, there's no external energy required. So it's completely standalone and off grid. We can be in the middle of a mountain generating hydrogen from just ethanol and water. We also accept renewable natural gas, methane, and methanol, but we are focused on making this a renewable process. So when we use ethanol, we can also be a carbon negative hydrogen process. So this is showing how ethanol is the best carrier because it's through our process, it's not only a carrier of hydrogen, but also a source of hydrogen. So that way we already get much more yield than the existing technologies. So even using compressed hydrogen trailers for the same volume, we get 5 times the hydrogen, over double from liquid hydrogen, and almost double liquid ammonia. And again, this is a standard temperature and pressure vessel, which is existing in the world today with liquid fuel infrastructure everywhere, and ethanol is non-toxic as opposed to liquid ammonia and other dangerous methods of moving hydrogen. We now have this modular unit on site, which is just a demonstration for customers and others to come visit and see us generating 50 kilograms of hydrogen on day through one of the modules of our 1250 kilogram module system. So that it's a modular unit and it's standardized containers that then you can stack and get more hydrogen that grow with your system. So our hydrogen today is being used by partners in Edmonton, close to us, that are leaders in hydrogen as well. So it's a complete off-grid solution. It through our unit or hydrogen being so flexible, you can now get a reliable source of hydrogen for transport fuel, for heating, or for electricity. And it's all off-grid independent production methods that can go to supporting grid power, remote work sites, off-site power or backup power, as well as off-grid communities. And then this led us for a customer requesting a project where we'd set up independent units of our systems throughout a city that are not connected and generating either heat, electricity, or transportation fuel for airports, malls, and other type of, like you see here, public transportation, for example. But these are all ways of demonstrating that our units are just independently operating and generating all different types of fuel that could be required for a concept for a city that could be clean and even carbon negative. So our standard unit is a 40-foot container, and we're generating 1,250 kilograms a day with just ethanol and water. And we're removing 10 tons of CO2 per day from the atmosphere, along with the emissions that we're offsetting by converting to hydrogen. So it's not only the carbon you would remove by switching from diesel, but you're actually removing CO2 from the atmosphere because we're a carbon negative process. So we work with industry leading OEMs for fast hydrogen dispensers, EV chargers, high and low compression, hydrogen fuel cell. We have the most efficient fuel cell in the world as our partner. And then the carbon capture system, we generate biogenic food grade, medical grade CO2, as opposed to SMR, which doesn't have biogenic CO2. So this is something that's actually a high value product we now have from our system as well, because this is the CO2 that the plants captured from the atmosphere, and we're simply recapturing that. So here we've developed many solutions for off-grids, microgrids, and then one of them was for transit agencies or municipal fleets, because it fits very well with their existing infrastructure. They have all liquid fuel infrastructure there. With one of our 40-foot containers, you just repurpose your diesel infrastructure for ethanol and generate hydrogen, and electricity for EV buses, hydrogen for fuel cell buses. This is a comparison of electrolysis. So people like to compare us to solar or other green hydrogen. And solar is great, and it is carbon neutral at best, but we get to carbon negative, and it takes a lot of room for solar. So 43 football fields for what our unit can do with 40 foot of a footprint, and then a 1.5 acre electrolyzer to take all that electricity and convert it to hydrogen. So our unit doesn't depend on the sun or the wind or natural resources. It's just simply depending on ethanol supply, which is a liquid resource, which is very easy to transport and store with existing infrastructure around the world already. So we did a comparison for the bus fleets with here in North America, at least. On 60,000 miles, it would cost $86,000 a year of diesel. It's a high emitting source of CO2 as well. Going with distributed hydrogen, meaning at the pump, where it costs $12 to $15 a kilogram, you're looking at $115,000 a year. And we're even half of diesel at $30,000 and almost 1/4 distributed hydrogen. And at the same time, you're removing CO2 from the atmosphere. So here's an example with trucks. So this is also based on North American numbers, 100,000 mile average per year. A diesel truck will cost $100,000 in fuel. Distributed hydrogen 200, and we're at half of diesel and almost 1/4 distributed hydrogen as well. And then we have a finance partner who's willing to do the first carbon negative renewable hydrogen as a service in the world. So our customers would just essentially pay for the hydrogen, and our partners would own, operate, and maintain that unit. We also have funding available through them for the unit itself, if that's something that our potential customers are interested in, and it's a complete turnkey solution. So funded, insured, and maintained globally. So we see our technology overcoming all the problems with hydrogen today, and a lot of it being associated with cost. We provide the most carbon reduction, the lowest cost for on-site infrastructure changes, or even for the unit itself, and then the safety, because you're safely able to handle and store ethanol in standard temperature and pressure tanks and existing infrastructure, and then transportation using pipelines that are already in place. So we're getting a lot of global recognition. We are the first people in the world, or the first company, to make this sort of reaction. It's our proprietary technology, the catalyst we've developed and patented around the world, and we'd be happy to speak with you about any more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jag. A very interesting presentation. I do have a few questions for you, if that's okay. And this is actually something that you touched upon during your presentation, but could you share a little bit more about how your technology is carbon negative?
Yeah, sure. So if we were to release the CO2 coming out of our system, that's just the CO2 that's absorbed from the atmosphere in the plants, and then that CO2 is then released again. So that is carbon dioxide released from the ethanol molecule, which is different than the carbon intensity. When we consider the carbon intensity going from ethanol to hydrogen, our unit is neutral if we release that CO2, but the carbon intensity of the ethanol is added to that hydrogen. So you don't get neutral hydrogen yet or negative hydrogen. But when we take that CO2, we would have released and capture it. So now we're going from, we'd take the amount of CO2 that we remove results in a 75 gram CO2 equivalent per megajoule reduction in the CI or carbon intensity. So that's the unit they use. So typical US corn ethanol is around 60 CI. You can get to 45 by incorporating corn stover. Canadian ethanol, wheat ethanol is around 30 CI, and sugarcane is around that as well. So then that's how you can really get to that carbon negative without using biomass or solar panels. There are other methods exist where you convert waste to hydrogen, and that will result in negative, but it's very little available, and it really depends on efficient use of the resources they have. So we do that in our technology in a way that results in the amount of energy that we require coming from the reaction, and then because we're taking that CO2 out, now we're resulting in a negative CI.
Perfect. Thank you so much for explaining that. Do you also mind sharing more about some of the partners that you're currently working with?
Yeah, sure. So Loop Energy is a leading fuel cell manufacturer globally. They have the highest publicly, based on the public information, they have the highest efficiency of the fuel cell. They get about over 20 kilowatt hour per kilogram, which a standard accepted value is about 15 kilowatt hour per kilogram. So that's the one we're working with our partner in Canada. The one we have in Switzerland also has a really good fuel cell and a large 1 megawatt unit that fit very well with our units. And then we work with the leading compressor company in the world, who are involved with the biggest hydrogen projects. And then we have the dispenser partner that we used. Their dispensers have 96% uptime, which is unbelievably high. And those are some of the things we vet for when we're looking for strategic partners. We want to have the best partners so that our customers have the best experience. And we're able to be picky and choosy like that because this is the only technology in the world. We're the only ones who provide this technology globally.
Right.
And there's okay, go ahead. There's OEMs. There's so many partners that I can talk about without mentioning their names, but yeah, many partners who've worked with way bigger companies that were very surprising for us that they wanted to work with us. But I think our technology speaks for itself, and that was how we're able to get some of the best partners in the world.
Yeah, for sure. A really nice profile of partners that you've described here. Thank you for that. And coming to your ideal customer, would you share a little bit more about the profile or description of your ideal customer?
Yeah, so municipal fleets, for example, any customer who knows the quantity of hydrogen that they're going to need is perfect. And then the ones who are going to utilize all the hydrogen that we use are also perfect. So municipal fleets who know how many buses they have, how many buses they need to refuel per day, that's a great example. Energy microgrid developers who know how much electricity they need. The customers that we're going to also co-inject into natural gas turbines. So co-injecting hydrogen into natural gas brings you efficiency boosts and GHG reductions in the turbines because it allows for a complete burn in the combustion chamber, meaning less methane slip or less methane or natural gas out the tailpipe, resulting in much lower GHG emissions and higher efficiency now because you're burning all the methane. So there's so many applications that the perfect customer is just one who knows what to do with the hydrogen.
Right, perfect. Sounds good. I have one last question for you, but I also see Robin is here for the poll. So just a quick check with Robin to see if we have time to ask the last question.
Short answer, yes.
Okay. So my last question for you is, why is Golu Hydrogen targeting the ASEAN market? What's the motivation behind that?
You guys have great access to resources, and there's relatively more room for growth for the infrastructure where we can bring our standalone unit to connect to potential microgrids that maybe don't exist today, or capacities that don't exist today. But we would also love to help to decarbonize utilizing your own resources. And we have partners, for instance, for biomass ethanol or cellulosic ethanol, who can help to reach steep decarbonizing goals with ASEAN countries. And I love the food from there, so why not? And the culture. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I hope that through this you connect with big players and potential partners and customers that you've described. I will now pass the floor to Robin for the poll.
Thank you very much, Jack and Ritishka. I love all the companies that are part of this program. So apologies to the audience that we have to cut this short. If you want to meet up with Jack, discuss partnership options, make sure to vote here for the poll or to indicate in the reception area. We'll make sure to follow up with you after the event. In the meantime, I'm gonna invite Ali and Dr. Sharfri on the stage for the next presentation. All. See you, Jack. We decided not to try the video again. If you do like to watch the video about Cnergreen, which is also a very interesting company, as you're going to find out very soon, there's a video in the reception area, so you can check that one out. In the meantime, Ali and Sharfri should be coming here. There's a couple of people who will want to, quite a few people who will want to follow up. So I'm going to close the poll. And with that, I like to give the floor to Sharfri and Ali.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Sharfri Sathe, and I'll be facilitating Ali today. Ali will be presenting Cnergreen, and I think I'm just going to let him talk about his technology because I personally find it really interesting. It's a nanotechnology-based product, and Ali, please share your slides and your presentation.
Sounds good. Hello, everyone. So great. So sorry about that. We couldn't play the video, but feel free to go to my room. So we have a longer version of that, and there's a cool video on that one as well inside the video. So I cannot share it here within this slide, but you can see it there. So I want to start with our vision, basically, why we are here, basically. So imagine a future where energy production not only meets our needs, but also protect our planet. And our vision at Cnergreen is to make that a reality by harnessing the power of hydrocarbon and also unlocking more underground pore space for CO2 storage and renewable energy extraction, basically. So Cnergreen is an energy startup based in Calgary, Canada. And our goal is to help the oil companies recover more oil, reduce their emission, and also store more CO2 underground. And we do that with our innovative nanoparticle-based foam technology called Armor Foam that is significantly stronger and more stable than any other foam available on the market. To date, we have raised more than $2.5 million from industry and governments, and we are seeking for strategic partners to pilot test this technology, especially in Asian market, basically. So the potential for the technology, so our goal is to be cash flow positive by the end of 2024 and achieve more than $200 million in revenue by the end of 2028. So let's look at the problem basically. If you look at the left schematic, so whatever fluid you inject underground, including CO2, water for oil recovery, or CO2 for CO2 storage, or water for geothermal extraction, the injected fluid will try to find a path of least resistance in the reservoir due to the fracture, high permeability channels. So you end up with a short circuit like this, as you can see in this schematic. So whatever you inject after that, it will follow the same path and leave rest of the reservoir untouched. So it will be very inefficient for energy production and also for CO2 storage, basically. So if you look at the schematic in the middle, by injecting armor foam underground, we can block those short circuits. So armor foam remain stable and strong, unlike other foams. So if you can look at the right schematic, when the operator resume their water or CO2 injection, armor foam will divert the injected fluid toward new part of the reservoir, so access more porous space for resource recovery, for oil recovery, and also for CO2 storage. So we overall improve the efficiency of the process, reduce the carbon intensity of the process, and also if we are using CO2, we can store more CO2 underground as well. So what is armor foam? So armor foam is a technology, is a patent pending technology to design a strong and stable foams for underground application, including oil recovery. So the unique feature of armor foam is remain stable at a harsh reservoir condition, including contact with crude oil, high salinity water, and high temperatures. So there's a very cool video on showing that how armor foam is stable in contact with oil compared to the other commercial foam, and you can see that in our showcase room basically. Another feature of armor foam is designed with commercially available material, so it's easily scalable and is not expensive basically. And we tailor and customize it to each customer and to each application. And it can also be designed with biodegradable component as well. So we are looking for strategic partners to pilot test this technology. So if you are interested, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for sharing that very interesting technology with everyone, Ali. We're already getting quite a bit of applause from the audience, so that's a good sign. I've seen the video, it's in the reception area, and it's really interesting to see how a commercial surfactant, which is, I'm not sure if everyone in the audience is familiar with that term, but commercial surfactant is equivalent to your soap that you use. And armor foam is a different kind of foam altogether. So, Ali, I have a few questions here. So you mentioned that you've been working for Cnergreen since 2019. So you're pretty new as a startup. We'd like to know what your milestones have been so far, because you've come a long way.
Yeah, we are, yeah, I agree. We are pretty new, but we are growing pretty fast too. I mean, in 2019, we filed our patent for the technology. So that was the first milestone and one of the greatest milestones that we could start commercializing this technology basically. So right after that, we received a strategic partnership from one of the largest industrial gas supplier in the world basically. So they licensed our technology for a year basically. During that time between 2019 to 2021, we received a lot of award, investment grant, almost more than $2.5 million, mainly from industry and government, and some investment as well. And recently, this last year, basically six months ago, we finished our manufacturing plants. Now we are able to manufacture our product in tons per day scale, so we can supply the market in North America, and it's also in Asian market as well. And a good thing about the product is, so we can manufacture it whenever we want. Basically, our manufacturing plant can be moved if it's needed, but we usually manufacture it here in town and then ship the product to the customer around the world. And our raw material exists anywhere in the world, so we are not limited to the North America to get our raw material. Basically, our raw material is commercially available material, so that will help us to expand to other market. And and we already have a lot of product available for different applications for enhanced oil recovery. So that's another milestone that we recently finished as well. And we are working currently with few customers in North America for pilot testing.
Oh, okay. So, in ASEAN in particular, what kind of geographies or sites would benefit the most from a technology from like armor foam? I mean, I'm not sure if it would work in every kind of situation, right?
Yeah, definitely there are limitations depend on the type of the reservoir, type of the rock, basically, and the objective that a company is trying to achieve, basically. But when you're injecting fluid underground to recover the oil, so most of the reservoirs suffer from the problem that I explained earlier today about the sweep efficiency short circuit. So when the operator has that problem, that's where armor foam can play a role and help them to mitigate that problem. So this can include in water injection as well. So conventional foam is not useful for water injection because they are not stable. They cannot divert the water. So that's one of the advantage of our technology. We are not limited to the type of fluid. Usually foam is used for gas. So when you're injecting gas underground, but we can use it for water diversion, for gas diversion, for CO2, even for steam, onshore, offshore. And we can customize it, right? So we can customize it to what customer needs and tailor it for the objective, basically. But I would say the easiest and the fastest application would be on CO2 and gas injection, and also water flood as well.
Right. So you're not only replacing places where foam is already being used. You can also apply it to water
Exactly.
injection areas as well.
Exactly. That's one of the main advantage. So our market, we are not only competing with foam product in the market, but also other enhanced oil recovery method because we can expand it to those applications.
Right. And so this is an ASEAN event. So I'd like to ask you, what is your main goal when you choose a region such as ASEAN?
Yeah, one of my personal motivation, to be honest, was this is a market that is growing pretty fast, and as the earliest stage of startup, we want to be on that market because we can also grow fast with the market. So this is very important for us. And also, there's two main point. It's not necessarily for Asian market, but also for all the other markets. You want to have an energy security, and at the same time, you want to reduce your carbon footprint and help and move toward the net zero, basically. And that's one of the key focus of this market. And our technology can provide that. So I believe there's a good fit for our technology to this market. So that's why I'm very, very interested and to join this program, basically.
Yeah. I mean, what would your dream pilot project would look like in that case?
Yeah, I mean, the dream pilot would be a technology that won these two: energy security and carbon intensity reduction. So we can work together and tailor and design this product for them for their specific reservoir condition, either is offshore or onshore, either is water flood, CO2 flood. We work with them and tailor the product for them, and then uh, achieve the result that they want, which is energy security, which is oil production, and moving toward the net zero, which is a GHG reduction, and also CO2 storage.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
that's
That's
the
really
main
important.
outcome.
Yeah. Well, that was the last question I had for you, Ali. So if you'd like to know more about what Ali is working on, you can always check out his video in the reception area. And you can also catch Ali at the tables in the lounge area as well. Thank you so much, Ali, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ali and Sharfri, for this, again, very interesting session. I'm aware, by the way, that the audience that you're asking questions, we have 5 really interesting companies, and because of that, we have to keep the sessions a little bit short to give everybody sufficient time to present themselves. If you want to talk to Ali, vote now in the poll, or like Sharfri already said, make sure to sign up through the reception area for a follow-up talk with him. I'm closing the poll, and with that, I like to go to the networking part of today. I'll give a very short explanation on that. Probably already when you came in, you should have seen that there is something called the lounge, where you see virtual tables. At those virtual tables, you will see the pictures of the different founders that we have today joining for this event. It looks like this. I'm sharing it on my screen now. Basically, we'll be taking 10 minutes. Oh, sorry, it skipped all the way back to the to the first slide somehow. Whatever company that you like to talk to, make sure that you join that table. The founders will be there, so you can ask some of the questions that you didn't get answered right just now during the live session on that table. Again, apologies everyone. I don't know why this skips back to the first slide. So this is the reception area. So for example, if you want to talk to Jack from Golu H2, go to table 2 in this case. If you want to talk to Ali, go to table 1, Cnergreen. There's going to be 3 more very interesting companies right after this: Duma Engineering, Fuel Positive, and Quadrical AI. But they are already available now for the networking. It's now in Singapore exactly 9:15. So networking will be until 9:25, and then we follow up with 3 more very, very interesting companies. See you in 10 minutes.